Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into something really fascinating, maybe even a bit perplexing from the world of Formula One. We're talking about Aston Martin's qualifying performance at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Quite the turnaround. Yeah, we've been digging through the analysis, looking at reports from F1 blogs, driver comments, telemetry data, all that good stuff. And our mission, really, is to try and figure out how this happened. I mean, how does a team go from their worst qualifying, dead last, basically, at Spa 1 week, to their best combined qualifying the very next week in Hungary with pretty much the same car? It defies logic a bit.
It really does, and that's what makes F1 so compelling, right? Just when you think you've got a handle on things, reality just throws this curveball, a variable you just weren't expecting. Data tells you one thing, the track tells you another sometimes.
Unpredictable is definitely the word, so let's paint the picture. Spa Francorchamps, high speed, flowing corners, and Aston Martin. Oof, it was tough. Alonso 19th, Stroll 20th, right at the back after qualifying. Not where you want to be.
Yeah.
Then fast forward just 1 week, Hungaroring, tight, twisty, different challenge altogether. And suddenly, boom, Alonso qualifies P5, Stroll P6, third row locked out. I saw one F1 blog comment that summed it up perfectly. I don't understand F1 anymore.
Yeah, that captures it well. It wasn't just, oh, they had a good day. It was the sheer scale of the jump, almost incomprehensible given the week before. And it really shows you predicting the sport. It's often impossible. The reality on track just doesn't always follow the script.
Okay, so let's unpack it. What was going on? Was it just like a lucky break or something deeper?
Well, luck always plays some role in motorsport, doesn't it? A gust of wind, track evolution. But the analysis we've seen points much more strongly towards the circuit itself. The Hungaroring. Think of it like Monaco almost. Short, very technical, corner after corner. Some call it a Gerrering for that reason, demanding. And that specific type of track layout, it just seems to suit the fundamental characteristics of that Aston Martin car way better than somewhere like Spa.
Right, Spa needs that low drag for the long straights.
Exactly. And Aston Martin, well, they seem to struggle a bit when they have to trim the car out like that. But at Hungaroring, they could bolt on the maximum aerodynamic load, full rear wing, basically. That gave them a huge downforce, made the car feel planted, comfortable, especially in those slower, twisty sections where Hungaroring asks the most questions. So Spa needed low wing, which isn't their strong suit. Hungary needed high wing, and suddenly the car came alive.
That makes sense. And Alonso himself kind of confirmed that, didn't he, in the post-qualifying comments we saw?
He did, yeah. He was quoted as being super happy, naturally. And he mentioned they felt competitive right from FP2, which is often when teams really start focusing on qualifying pace. He said something like, what we need to understand is how in Spa, we were 19th and 20th, and a week later, without touching the car, we are 5th and 6th.
So he's pointing directly at the track difference, not some magic upgrade.
Pretty much. He even said the team needs to learn why it works so well there to see what they can apply elsewhere. It wasn't about finding a secret button. It was about the car finding a circuit where its strengths could really, shine.
Okay, so car plus track compatibility, big step one. But the analysis, particularly from the F1 blogs, suggested it wasn't just that. Team execution played a big part too.
Oh, absolutely. This wasn't just the car being inherently quick there. The team operated brilliantly. Their strategy in Q2, for instance, was really smart. Remember, Q2 is where you fight to get into that top 10 Q3 session.
What did they do specifically?
They managed their tires perfectly. Sent Stroll out relatively early in the session. That gave them crucial real-time data on how the track was evolving, how the tires were behaving. Yeah. And because they got that info early and Stroll put in a decent banker lap, it allowed Alonso to basically save a brand new set of soft tires.
Ah, so he had fresh rubber for Q3, 2 sets.
Exactly. 2 new sets of softs for the final shootout. That's a significant advantage. Some other teams, like McLaren, who were also quick, didn't quite manage that. They had to use more tires earlier. Having that extra set, especially the ability to go out, put in a really strong first lap on new tires, bank it, as they say, it takes off so much pressure.
Right, sets a benchmark, puts the pressure on everyone else.
Precisely. Alonso put it P4 provisionally after his first run. Solid. Then everyone else has to react. That kind of sharp thinking, that operational slickness. Yeah, one F1 blog called it a good medal for the team. Shows that they're thinking on their feet.
And wasn't Alonso also dealing with something physical? That makes the performance even more impressive.
Yeah, that's a really important piece of context. He actually missed the first practice session, FP1. Had some back discomfort, apparently, so he wasn't coming into qualifying feeling 100%, you'd assume. So for him to deliver like that and for the team to execute so well around him, It really highlights the achievement. It wasn't just the car doing the work.
Okay, this is where it gets really wild, though. The margins. We talk about F1 being close, but this was something else.
Oh, it was absolutely insane. You had, what, 6 cars covered by less than 1/10 of a second, 0.1, and Alonso himself. He was just 0.091 seconds, 91 thousandths away from Charles Leclerc on pole position.
91 thousandths. It's hard to even comprehend how small that is.
It really is. And the telemetry analysis, the data breakdown from tools like F1 Tempo that F1 blogs often use, it paints an even more dramatic picture. Alonso's fastest lap was a 1.15.281. Leclerc's pole lap, a 1.15.372. Tiny difference. If you look at the data trace, the visualization, Alonso's line is actually ahead of Leclerc's for most of the lap. He was quicker through most of the corner.
So where did it slip away?
Right at the very end. The analysis showed him entering the final corner, turn 13, with an advantage of 0.117 seconds over Leclerc. Yeah. So at that moment, flashing across the mini sectors, he was effectively on provisional pole.
Wow, he had it.
He had it. And then just on the exit of that very last corner, accelerating onto the main straight, he lost that advantage, lost a 91 thousandths right there, pole position, gone.
Yeah.
In the last 100 meters or so. It's just brutal. It really hammers home that, logic kind of goes out the window sometimes. You can do 99% of the lap perfectly.
And one tiny bit costs you everything. Apparently, the comparison to Piastri, who ended up second, showed a similar pattern. Strong lap, but losing out right at the end.
Yeah, similar story. Strong pace throughout most of the lap compared to the McLaren, but just bleeding a little bit of time in that crucial final sequence. Small margins, huge consequences.
Man, that must be absolutely gut-wrenching for a driver, to know you were that close.
It's the definition of fine margins in elite sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
The mental side of handling that must be immense.
So, shifting focus then. Amazing qualifying, but what about the race? What did the analysis suggest for Sunday? High hopes after starting P5 and P6.
Well, naturally, fans were excited. Alonso has history at the Hungaroring, great starting spot. You start dreaming a little. But the F1 blogs were cautioning a bit, urging maybe some tempered expectations. You've still got Russell ahead, both McLaren's looking strong, the Ferraris. Yeah, it's a tough crowd.
And threats from behind, too, presumably.
Oh, yeah. Verstappen is always a factor no matter where he starts. And Hamilton was coming through from P12. You can never discount them. So defending those spots was going to be the first challenge.
Was there any mention of potential disruptors, like weather?
There was, yeah. Talk of a chance of rain, which always throws a spanner in the works at Hungaroring. Rain could absolutely create chaos, open up opportunities for bold strategy calls or drivers who excel in tricky conditions. But the flip side is, if it didn't rain, the race could become quite processional. Hungary can be notoriously difficult for overtaking. It might have just become a race about tire management and holding position rather than big moves forward.
So a podium seemed like a long shot unless things got really messy.
Yeah, precipitous was the word one analysis used. It would likely require, many things to happen ahead, mistakes, reliability issues for others. Realistically, the analysis suggested that even holding station, maybe finishing around P7 after the faster cars sorted themselves out, would actually be a really excellent result for Aston Martin.
Right. Consolidating that qualifying jump into solid points makes sense. Best scenario, perhaps, given the competition.
Exactly. It would still represent a huge step up from Spa and validate the qualifying performance.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap what we've learned from this deep dive into Aston Martin's Hungaroring surprise. First, clearly, the track layout itself was massive. The Hungaroring just suited the car's DNA far better than Spa. That seems undeniable.
Absolutely key. Finding the car's happy place.
Second, the team's execution. Smart strategy, especially with the tires in Q2 and delivering under pressure. Not just a fast car, but a sharp team performance.
Yep, operational excellence played a huge role.
And finally, those razor-thin margins. The telemetry showing Alonso losing pole in literally the last corner. It's just a stark reminder of how incredibly competitive F1 is at the absolute peak, thousandths of a second making all the difference.
It really does make you think, doesn't it? It raises this question about car performance. How much is truly down to the inherent speed built into the car through upgrades and design? And how much is just about hitting that perfect sweet spot, that optimal operating window for a specific circuit on a specific weekend? It's clearly a complex balance.
It really is. Yeah. And maybe that's the final thought we can leave you with today. Beyond the obvious things like big upgrade packages or driver form, what other, maybe less visible factors could be playing a bigger role than we usually acknowledge in why a team's performance can swing so dramatically from one week to the next in Formula One. Something to chew on.